Welcome to the Godot BootCamp lesson on an overview of authentication. In this lesson, we'll be doing an overview on how brainCloud authentication works. There are a few key concepts we need to go over: profiles and identities and how they work together. The profile is essentially the user's account, and it is used to store all the game or app's data about the user, including their state, user statistics, entities, achievements, currency balances, etc. A user's profile is local to a game or app. User profiles are not shared across games in brainCloud. An identity is used by the brainCloud server to locate the user's profile. During authentication, if a profile cannot be found for the supplied identity, then a new profile is automatically created on the server. When a user's profile is created for the first time, a unique profile ID is generated by the server. This profile ID will be returned on every successful authentication request. There are two forms of brainCloud identities: anonymous and authenticated. We'll cover anonymous identities first. An anonymous identity is convenient for the user, as there is no need for a login screen of any kind. Anonymous authentication works by having the brainCloud client generate a GUID, a global unique identifier, to represent the anonymous ID. The user does not actually ever see the anonymous ID. Think of the anonymous ID as a device ID that doesn't actually identify anything about the device. The brainCloud wrapper will save the anonymous ID to the user's device as soon as it's generated on the game or app's first authentication request. Then, on a successful authentication response, the brainCloud wrapper will save the user's profile ID to the user's device. A quick note about the brainCloud wrapper. It was written several years ago to simplify the authentication process. It is recommended to use the brainCloud wrapper by default in your game or app. However, being a user with only an authenticated identity has three key disadvantages compared to authenticated identities. For one, the user cannot access their profile from multiple devices. Second, if the user's device is lost or wiped, then their account is no longer accessible, since the anonymous ID linked to the profile was saved to the device. And third, an anonymous user will have a difficult time participating in brainCloud social features because they are anonymous. That brings us to authenticated identities. brainCloud supports several different types of authenticated identities, including but not limited to email and password, user ID and password, also known as universal authentication, Facebook, Steam, Apple Game Center, and Google Play services. There are several more authenticated identities, but you get the idea. In fact, if there's a service that we don't support, it can be implemented with external authentication. External authentication allows you to add custom authentication to your game or app via cloud code scripting. It's important to note that even if your game or app implements an authenticated identity as the main form of authentication, an anonymous ID will still be generated by the brainCloud client for each user's device. That's because in order to authenticate with the brainCloud server, the anonymous ID must be sent along with the authenticated credentials. In your game or app, you will probably want to allow users to authenticate anonymously on the first playthrough, given the fact that creating an authenticated account can be bothersome to some users and will cause a portion of your user base to abandon the game or app before they start. brainCloud allows the game or app to add additional identities to a profile after the profile has been created. Your game or app could then give users the option of creating an authenticated identity by outlining the benefits. Anonymous authentication is the next lesson in the Godot BootCamp.